Welcome back to Cossy Arsenal Podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new episode on the podcast. This time we are talking about Mikel Arteta and whether Arsenal are joking by wasting a lot of time and a lot of valuable resources on him as manager. Is Mikel Arteta joking? Is he an absolute joke of a manager? Are Arsenal never going to win silverware with Mikel Arteta? There is a lot of outrage going out there on social media, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, around the manager, but also around the general performance of Mikel Arteta as well. So I want to know, where do you stand as we begin this episode? Are you Mikel Arteta out? Are you strongly Mikel Arteta in? Are you in no man's land? Are you in that position where, like, if he stays as manager, I don't have a problem. If he's sacked and we bring in a Zinedine Zidane, or we bring in a winner manager, is someone who can actually bring in silverware, I still don't have a problem with that. If you're Mikel Arteta in, I want your reasons why. Why do you think Mikel is the right manager for Arsenal, the right man for the job still at the moment? And if you're Mikel Arteta out, despite what we have gone through, him cleaning the squad, us now being title contenders, why are you Mikel Arteta out? What is it that you feel at this club is going so wrong and the manager must make way? Hit the like button for me. It helps the podcast a lot. Do subscribe as well, because we want as many subscribers on this podcast as we can manage to get as well. Okay. So for me, the big question is Mikel Arteta failing at Arsenal? And that is a huge question for a manager that has now spent 4 years at the helm. He's spent 4 years at the wheel. We have seen clubs change managers every single season, and Mikel Arteta has somehow managed to survive, getting the sack. There was a time in 2021 and in 2020 when things were actually very, very poor. Still in 2022 as well, things were very poor, and all of us were asking for Mikel Arteta to go. We were asking for management to bring in a new manager. In 2022, towards the end of the year, and 2023 as well, the team has been much better. We have competed for the title 2022-2023, which was actually very, very unexpected and very abrupt. We brought in a couple of signings that Mikel Arteta has actually managed to convince the Cronkies that the team needs. Declan Rice, Julian Timber, Gabriel Jesus, Alexander Zichenko, and a couple of other players. And the team looks to be sailing in the right direction. We might not have, that compass, the magic compass, but we are actually sailing in the right direction. If you want to go north, I think we are going north. If we want to go east, I think we're still getting on the right track, and the voyage is actually still positive. So is he failing as manager? I understand all the people out there saying Mikel is failing, Mikel is a bad manager, he's not to the standards of Arsenal Football Club. However, I think we've got to look back at what he has done. We've got to look back at the achievements of him as a manager, as a young manager, by the way, as a manager who has not had a lot of experience. He has managed to become a ruthless cleaner at Arsenal, and that's one of the things that we actually wanted. You wanted Socrates Papastopoulos out, you wanted Mustafi out, you wanted all these other players that were not giving us real value, and all the managers that were coming in, all the changes we were making post Arsene Wenger, they were not actually aiming at that. So you look at Unai Emery when he came in, all he did was to add a couple of players on top of what was happening, on top of what we had. He was adding deadwood to deadwood. He was adding new players to the deadwood that was existing. He brought in Matteo Guendouzi, and he never got rid of anyone. He brought in the likes of Lucas Torreira and all that. So he didn't get rid of the players he never wanted, and that meant that Arsenal kept on having a big squad full of deadwood, and we kept on saying we have many players, but all those players were absolute shite, and none of those players was ever going to perform at the levels that Arsenal ever wanted. So shout out to Mikel Arteta, credit to Mikel Arteta, because when he comes in, the first thing he does is to clear out all the nonsense that this team had prior to his arrival. Socrates Papastopoulos, like I said, all these Aubameyangs, Lacazettes, we have seen a complete clear out. We have seen a complete, cleaning of Arsenal. And I can say right now, Arsenal is one of the most valuable squads in the world. We are worth almost $1 billion And for us to be almost worth almost a billion, we've not spent a billion. What we have done is we've got rid of all the players that the manager doesn't fancy, and I'm going to say he has had a very good clean eye because Aubameyang struggled, and he let him go. Same for Lacazette, same for Leno, and same for a couple of players. So I think he has enjoyed a certain part of success, but then also he has failed at certain things, and he has failed at certain stages. I think if Mikel Arteta was Sir Alexander Chairman Ferguson, if he was Jose Mourinho, if it was Rafa Benitez, Arsenal would have another trophy. Apart from the FA Cup, we would have another trophy right now. And that would have been the Premier League last season. So, as manager, and as an experienced manager, Jose Mourinho would know. We are going into the last 10 games of the season. It is not about playing beautiful football. It is not about convincing whoever wants to be convinced that we are such a good side. It's about winning the title. At that point, every single game is a final. Every single game is a title decider, is a title winner. What did Mikel Arteta decide to do? He decided to stick with players that didn't play well, the likes of Saka, the likes of Martinelli, players that were actually out of form. He decided that we will continue to play the exciting football, the free-flowing football, even when teams had actually started, finding us out, playing low blocks, doubling up on Saka and doubling up on Gabriel Martinelli. So I will agree with every Arsenal fan out there who believes Mikel Arteta has let this team down in some way, shape, or form. For me, that title was ours to lose, and it was there for the taking. Man City were not as good as as we all say. They did lose a couple of games. They did draw a couple of games. But what we didn't do was show character. And I think the manager was the first person to capitulate under pressure before even the players capitulated under pressure. It was the manager first, right? His team selection was bogus towards the end of the campaign. He's kept on picking Rob Holding in games that you knew Rob Holding is not going to be good enough for you against Manchester City. So when the manager is making such mistakes, when the manager is letting the team down in those instances and scenarios, then there is no way he actually escapes, criticism. But the big question and the real point of this video, is it time to sack Mikel Arteta? It is an embarrassment that at the beginning of this season, one of the pundits that hates Arsenal to the bone marrows and the core, in Gary Neville said this: Arsenal will win the title. I think they have it in them. They have enough to win the title, and they can actually go all the way and challenge Manchester City now. It is embarrassing and very, very shameful that after those words were said at the beginning of the campaign, Arsenal are now 5 points behind Liverpool, 2 points behind Aston Villa, who are in second, and a potential 3 points behind Man City, who have a game in hand and are above us on goal difference now. It is embarrassing because when the rivals start believing in you, when the rest of the world, when the doubters start believing, that is when you've got to go and prove to everyone that you actually deserve it. That is when you have to prove to anyone that you have put in the hard work, that this team deserves the praise it's getting. We have fumbled top level status. We have fumbled title winning status in December. We have fumbled title winning status within 20 games, right? Title winners don't do that. Title winners don't lose games to Fulham at the Craven Cottage. Title winners don't get 1 point against Fulham. Title winners don't lose games like we did against West Ham. That is not the true mark of a title winning team. That is not the true mark of a team that wants to win titles. It's not. It is nowhere near. It is nowhere close, right? So, is it time to sack him? Absolutely not. Where I stand, and I'm very, very sure about this, right? I know many of you will ask, well, Cossy, you are always ruthless. You've always wanted Mikel Arteta out 2020, 2021, and some parts of 2022. You wanted him out. What has changed now? What has changed is we have established ourselves as one of the best teams in Europe and one of the best teams in the Premier League. What has changed is I've learned that having a manager like Mikel Arteta can guarantee you, success. What has changed is Mikel Arteta is not failing. He's rather going through a period every manager has actually gone through. When you're a young manager, you don't have a lot of experience. You don't have a lot of lessons to look back on and go, okay, this is what I learned in 1998. I might just be, change this, this in this way. So look at Ange Postecoglou at Tottenham Hotspur. What Tottenham Hotspur have in Ange is truly, truly priceless. They have a priceless, piece of crown, piece of Joe in Ange Postecoglou. Why? Because Postecoglou has been on the scene for as long as I was not yet born. He has been manager for as long as 29, 28, 27 years. I was not born during that period of time. And he had started his management career. And you can see there are things that go wrong at Tottenham, and you can see he's doing the fixing using the experience he has. Mikel Arteta doesn't have that. So am I willing to give Mikel Arteta time to gain that experience in exchange for some titles in the future? I am absolutely willing. I don't think it is time for us to go Mikel Arteta out. He is not good enough. Is he joking at the moment? He's absolutely joking. He's absolutely joking. Why? Listen, we have spent over 700 million ever since he came in. The club have done what they've never done with any manager. Arsene Wenger builds us one of the most exciting stadiums in Europe and also in world football, the Emirates Stadium. And what does he get? He doesn't get backed post the Emirates Stadium period. He doesn't get backed. We slander him. We absolutely abuse him. We absolutely get rid of him as a piece of trash. Unai Emery comes in, and we're like, this is a winner. This guy has won a couple of European titles with Sevilla. So we have brought in a winner. He was also a winner with PSG. We brought in a top level elite manager. What do the Cronkies do? They don't back him. They look the other way. He asks for Wilfred Zaha. They give him Nicola Pepe. So Mikel Arteta spending over 700 million. There is no Arsenal manager that has done that. Mikel Arteta getting every player he wants on the market, regardless of the price. Getting Gabriel Jesus. This lot, the Cronkies would have decided to give him Yaya Sanogo if he wanted Gabriel Jesus. They would have decided to give him, anyone instead of Declan Rice. But he has been given every resource and every help he would ever want as manager. And for him to actually fumble that, for him to get rid of himself, to get rid of the chance to win the Premier League in December, he is joking. He is absolutely joking. That is the worst joke I've ever heard in my ears because it is not funny. Arsenal are no longer title contenders by December. Arsenal are no longer title contenders by January. That is a joke. We have 5 months to go, and by the look of things, Arsenal are not improving. The season, we've said it when the season started. Mikel Arteta, was it worth it? And I really want to take the quote from Turkish LDN on FTV. Was it worth it for us to change, for us to go from the beautiful football we were playing? Was it worth it for us to go from the free transition of football that we were playing just to make sure that we have more control, just to make sure that we are not conceding many goals, just to make sure that we are more conservative? Was it worth it to sacrifice the beautiful, entertaining football that we were always bragging about and all teams were actually afraid of and all teams were questioning, how do we deal with Arsenal? Just to be conservative, just to make sure that we are, we don't lose games like Southampton 3-3. Is it worth it? I don't think it is worth it, and I think it's an absolute joke. Because last season, we scored more goals. Last season, we had our own problems defensively. And the biggest problem at Arsenal last season was we did not bring in a helper for Thomas Partey, and we did not actually, enlarge our squad enough. That was supposed to be dealt with in the summer, and I believe so. We did some good job in the summer. We did broaden the squad a little bit in the summer. So for Mikel Arteta to switch overnight, and then he goes, "This is what we've been doing. This is what we'll be doing," and it has not worked. And the team is suffering, and players like Saka, Gabriel Martinelli, Gabriel Jesus are completely dead. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. After spending 700 million, you cannot be getting worse. This is a joke we've already said with Chelsea. How have Chelsea managed to spend over a billion and get worse? Well, Arsenal spent 200 million in the summer, and I tell you, we are not better. Are we worse? We are. Because when you're not better, you're either in the same place, which we are not, right? So we are worse. The table position says we are worse. The goals scored says we are worse. The goals conceded says we are worse. The teams that we are losing to, vis-a-vis the teams we beat last season, says that we are worse than we were last campaign. So after spending 100 million, 200 million in the summer, and you don't get better, is it justifiable for you as manager to command any kind of confidence from the from the fan base? I don't think it is actually worth. I don't think there is a point when Mikel Arteta is going to convince us, unless Arsenal go on an unbeaten run of around 8 games, conceding like in only 3, keeping like 5 clean sheets, and getting and regaining that status of title contenders back. If we do not, I'm sorry, it's simply not good enough. So let us talk about the widespread question. Can Arsenal challenge for real silverware? Can we sit on the same table at the big boys with Mikel Arteta at the helm? Does he have a weak mindset? For me, what I've seen with Mikel, there are things he needs to work on. He's either suffering from a weak mindset or arrogance. And one of those two is definitely going to bury you. As an individual, as a human, that is going to bury you. Arrogance in which way? He has picked the same kind of players that have proven that are not doing good enough, that are probably need some rest, need switching up, and he's continued picking the same players, playing in a similar way, playing in a similar style, even when everyone says it. The pundits say it, the fans say it, the players say it, and himself as manager, he knows it. He looks at it and is like, well, this is not good enough. And what has he done? He's decided we will play in the same similar way again and again and again and again. That is arrogance. That is not a weak mindset. That is arrogance, right? You've got to understand that if you're a manager, your job is to identify ways to win games, ways to take the team to the next level. Like he's done in the transfer window, he's absolutely been spot on. But in games, right, in the season, during the marathon, is he making the right decisions? Is he failing because he's actually, making the wrong decisions out of, out of goodwill or out of arrogance? It is arrogance. When you say that Saka doesn't come off despite the fact he's playing poorly, when you say that Martinelli will start ahead of Emil Smith-Rowe even if he's playing poorly, when you say that Edin Ketia will stay even if you know that Arsenal need a striker, a better number 9, and then you come out and say, well, we are not title contenders if we don't fix our goal scoring problem. That is arrogance. You're having a laugh. You're absolutely having a laugh. You're absolutely, you don't care what the fan base is going to feel. You're just, saying what you feel. The fan base at the moment want to hear one thing. We will improve. We'll get in a good number 9. We will improve. We'll change a few players here and there just to make sure that the players that need some rest, are given that rest, and the players that deserve a chance are given a chance. But when you decide that we will play the players that we want to play, right, the players that I want to play, that is arrogance. Does he have a weak mindset? Arsenal have capitulated now on 4 occasions, on big occasions. When we were very close to getting to UEFA Champions football in 2021, 2022, when Spurs finished ahead of us, we capitulated. It was under Mikel Arteta. When last season we tried to win the title, we capitulated to Manchester City. It was under Mikel Arteta. Sporting Lisbon in the Europa League, they came to the Emirates Stadium. It was a big moment. We were going to the quarterfinals of the Europa League. We led that game. We capitulated. It was under Mikel Arteta. This season, Liverpool and Man City, and Aston Villa, they press a little bit. They raise the stakes a little bit. They raise the standards a little bit. We capitulate under Mikel Arteta. If you're telling me that that is not a problem that we need to fix, you're having a laugh. You're joking. You cannot be, capitulating in serious moments and you tell me that there is no problem with either the manager or the team is working with. A very good example is Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers is like a very, very high profile manager for me, and I rate him highly. And he capitulated with Liverpool. He did somehow capitulate with Leicester City. If Mikel Arteta doesn't solve that problem of capitulating, of falling down, of failing at crucial moments, he's going to become a Brendan Rodgers. He's going to become that type of manager. You don't win. You simply don't win. You just do well to finish in the top positions. But when it comes to the real pressure, you can't deal with it. So the mindset that he has as a manager and the team that he's working with, it's got to change. He has a young team that will need inspiration, and they're going to get that inspiration from you as manager. They're not going to get that inspiration from anyone else. It's going to be from you, the manager. They trust you, they love you, but when it comes to moments where they lack guidance and you can't guide them, it's going to be it's going to be failure all the time. Does he have a plan B? And this is something I've talked about all the time on this podcast, and I will always talk about it. Liverpool this season have like 3 ways of playing their football. When Curtis Jones goes off and they bring in Harvey Elliott and Ryan Gravenberch, they have introduced a box-to-box number 8 in Gravenberch, and they brought a typical number 10 in Harvey Elliott. When they play with McAllister and Soboslai, who look like 2 number 8s, stroke 10s, and Wataru Endo, that means that they're playing more of the Arsenal style. But you've got to have options. I don't think Salah has been scoring in each and every game at Liverpool, because why? I have him in my fantasy Premier League, as captain. And there have been weekends where Salah's been getting 2 points, 4 points, 6 points. And how have Liverpool managed to pick up points in that scenario, in such scenarios, right? Diogo Jota has been scoring goals, not for fun, but vital goals. They've been getting goals from other areas of the pitch, but by changing the way they play. You cannot be switching it every now. It's too predictable for us from Arsenal. It is too predictable, right? You can't just be going, Salah in possession, Soboslai, Salah, Soboslai, Salah. You can't be thinking Salah is the only guy to make things happen. He is absolutely brilliant. So he will score a screamer and a quality goal against one of the worst defenders in the Premier League, Alexander Zinchenko, defensively. But when he doesn't score, do you have a plan B? Yes. That is why Liverpool are top of the Premier League, right? Against Newcastle, 4-2. Salah is running riot. He's missing a penalty. He's scoring goals. He's creating chances. Like, he has 20. I think he got around 32 points in the fantasy, in the fantasy league. He's my captain. I know that. So on a good day, Saka is going to score. Nottingham Forest, what a goal! 3 points, bang in. Um, uh, uh, you know, Manchester United, he's dead. Chelsea, he's dead. Liverpool, he's dead. And in all those games, Arsenal have struggled to win. In all these games where Saka is struggling, Arsenal have struggled to pick up points. Why? We don't have a plan B. Saka and Martinelli are no longer brave, right? So where is the plan B? If you don't have Saka, if you don't have Martinelli, where is the plan B, right? If your wingers are not working as manager, you see it. You've seen it for 20 games. It must be boring now. So what are you planning, and how are you planning to actually fix it? How are you planning to get the goals? You brought in Kai Havertz. He's more like he's a tall man. He can play as a target man. We've not seen you try to play as him as a target man. We have not seen you try to play Kai Havertz more regularly as a 10, or Martin Odegaard as a 10, and trying to create chances, because that is our focus. Our problem is creating quality chances, and all this bullshit of Arsenal had 30 shots against West Ham. We deserve to win. No, we didn't. We didn't deserve to win that game because West Ham were the better side without the ball. And it's not always that whoever has the ball, whoever is passing the ball around, is the better side. No, it is not that way. So you look at Barcelona, prime Barcelona, and how they had possession. I'll tell you something. This Barcelona side under Xavi now, they still command huge chunks of possession. But are they the better side in their games? No, they are not. Prime Barcelona had a lot of possession. They were always the better side in their games. This current Barcelona are having huge chunks of possession in their games. They are absolute shite. That is what we are turning into, right? So when I compare Arsene Wenger's Arsenal and Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, Arsene Wenger's Arsenal lost games when we had possession. We played enjoyable football, and we were always the better side. Sir Alexander Chapman will tell you that, and all these crooked managers in the Premier League by that time will tell you. When you played Arsenal, they had possession, they created quality chances, and they missed those quality chances. Easy, right? We had Sanogo, Bentina, we had Chamak, we had Giroud. Those were the crap strikers we had. Right now, teams are leaving possession for us, and we are passing it sideways, and we are praising ourselves in post-match reactions, and we're praising ourselves in press conferences. Look at us. 70% ball possession. We were the better side. We win that game six times out of 10. 6 times out of 10, that game you don't win that game because you don't take your chances. It's as simple as that. The best teams we have seen on Europe, the best teams we have seen, in the world, the one thing they have, you take your chances. It is why Bayern signed Hurricane for 100 million. It's why. It's why Napoli win the title, win the Scudetto with Victor Osimhen. It is why Inter Milan win the Scudetto with Lautaro Martinez and Lukaku. It is why in Olivier Giroud's best season, AC Milan win the Scudetto. It is why Haaland is at Man City. It is why Kylian Mbappe is one of the most expensive forwards in the world, because everyone would love to have a piece of him, and everyone knows you get him, you have the goals. So we need to find a plan B. I was watching the Chronicles of a Gunner today, and Harry Simeo, the host of that podcast, makes a very interesting point. Without Thomas Partey, our transitions are slower. Without Thomas Partey, the ball will be played into Saka and Gabriel Martinelli later. And that means that by the time we play the ball into their feet, there will be players already doubling up on them. But there is a question. When you have two players against one player, that means there is space opening up somewhere. So where is the plan B? Two players on Saka, two players on Gabriel Martinelli. Wow, that's nice. There must be space opening up somewhere. So where are we trying and how are we trying to exploit that space? That's the question. But I'm far away from consensus with the people that are saying that Mikel Arteta out at the moment. I think he deserves and he's earned time and a chance. But let's wait and see if this joking continues, right? If Arsenal dare finish outside the top three, then conversations have got to be had at the end of the campaign. I want your thoughts. I want your comments in the comment box below, and I'll be sure to get to react to your comments right there in the comment box below. I've been Cossy. This is Cossy's Arsenal podcast. You can find me on Cossy Arsenal. It's one of those channels where we do everything Arsenal as well, and we do the latest breaking stories on the club. I'll speak to you right in the next one.